Hey friends, we are live now. I'm just gonna wait a second to get the YouTube link and then I will begin. There it is. Okay, sweet. And I'm also gonna share my screen. Okay, sweet. So yes, this is office hours. I do this every Friday that I'm available. Was not going to be available today, but I got into a car accident last week. And so I'm not in Disneyland like I was planning on being. It's a pretty serious car accident, actually. And I will probably tell the story of that accident at some point during office hours today. But just so folks who are new here know, office hours is just your opportunity to ask me questions once a week. And if you're on Zoom, then you can ask me in Zoom. And if you're if you're in Zoom, then I give you priority. But if you're not, that's totally fine. You can ask in the Discord, and I'll answer the questions best I can in Discord. And then you can even like post here throughout the week, and I'll get to it when I get to the next office hours. And I think yeah, I think this is where we left off. So I just have these two questions in Discord. And yeah, if anybody shows up to the Zoom, then I'm more than happy to answer your questions here. So if you do show up in Zoom, you can feel free to interrupt me and I will give you priority. So I will go ahead and answer the question that I think a lot of people probably are wondering, but would feel like it's inappropriate to ask or something. So I am going to, let's see, I'm going to tell you about the car accident that I experienced a week ago. So let's just go back to the thread that I posted. Yep, this is part of that thread. Oh, dang it. Click the wrong thing. This is part of that thread. Look at and these teeth are the temporary crowns they put on top of that. So yeah, I busted my teeth, broke my collarbone. That's why you might see me leaning this way, because my muscles are super sore, really tight, and I'm trying to tilt this way, but if I go too far, then I start feeling a sharp pain in my collarbone. So yeah, there's no easy way to do this. But yeah, so that was January 28th at 6 o'clock in the evening. I just dropped off my son and I was approaching this four-way stop and in a residential area about a mile away from my house. And I looked all ways. There was a car in front of me. I thought there was a car to my right, but that couldn't possibly be possible for what happened next. But I remember checking to my left. There was nobody there. And so I proceeded through the four-way stop intersection. And in a split second, I saw headlights coming up on my car. And it was seriously, there was no way for me to have any time to think about it at all. I literally had maybe 100 milliseconds to realize what was going to happen to me. And so I didn't know how fast he was going. I didn't know how big his truck was because I didn't really have time to think about that. And so I didn't, if I had realized that he self-admitted later that he was going 80 miles an hour. If I had realized how fast he was going and how big his truck was, then I probably would have thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to die. As it was, what I thought was, oh, great. Like what an inconvenience this is going to be to me. That is what I thought. And he slammed into me. And this is the end result here. That's his truck. He flipped over several times. His truck just totally got smashed. I think lots of that was from rolling, I think 2 or 3 times. And that's what happened to my car. So he was actually, if we're looking at this picture as a reference, he was actually coming this way. But my car flipped around. So I was coming from this direction, going up that road back there. So I was all the way over here. And so when he smashed into me, it flipped my car around. And so that's why I'm pretty sure there wasn't a car over here, because otherwise I would have run into him. So pretty sure there was just one other car coming. But yeah, so this, his truck ended up rolling boom over that where he ended up where he was. and my car just spun around. And what's really interesting about all of this is, let me get an image really quick. I haven't tweeted this image, and I'm not going to, but I will show you. Oh man, I gotta sign in. What a pain. Don't ask again on this device. Yes, it worked. Okay. How do I do? There we go. Timeline view. My goodness, why does it have to be like this? Okay. So the best picture for me to show is this one. So that's where I was sitting. The roof is a lot shorter than it is supposed to be because they actually, you can see right there, they cut straight through the pole or whatever. I don't know what that's called. They cut straight through that and lifted the roof off so they could get me out. And they also cut the door off. But what's interesting here, what blew my mind, is that the back of my car is also really damaged. So I'm not sure how that happened because he ended up, he rolled over the front of my car, like totally destroyed. Look at that. Like he broke the wheel. I don't know how this happened, but so he hit like right around here, I think is the point of impact, and ended up rolling over the front. So I'm not sure how he ended up destroying the back of my car. I don't think he fishtailed because that wouldn't make any sense. I don't know what happened. I don't know how it happened. But anyway, so that's what my car looks like now. Totally destroyed, totaled. Really sad. Yeah. Got another one on order. Yeah, and this is a Tesla. I'm really confident that the fact that Tesla puts so much effort into their cars is a big reason why I'm alive. So yeah, let's see what else happened. So immediately after I flipped around and like all the airbags deployed and stuff, I remember spitting my teeth out. And that was like the first thing I remember immediately after the accident. And that was the worst. I was like, oh, great. Yeah, now I have to deal with that. And now you've got these fake crowns. Apparently the real crowns that I'll get next week will make it look like nothing ever happened. Hopefully. So, yeah, so then I was stuck. I was pinned in the seat, and actually this white, let's see, actually, yeah, this white fabric, that's actually a blanket that they put over me to cover my head and eyes while they were taking the glass roof off. And I actually do occasionally still find glass in my scalp. So I have very thick hair. And actually the morning after the accident, I was lying in the hospital bed and they were cleaning me up for my collarbone surgery. And the nurse took a comb and started like brushing glass out of my hair and found a glass shard that big that had been in my hair the entire night. Yeah, that was kind of interesting. So yeah, anyway, I broke my teeth. That was the first thing I remember. And then my legs were pinned. And so that's why I was in the car for, I think 40 minutes is what they said, while they were extricating me. So both my feet and my legs were pinned tight together by the dashboard because I guess he'd rolled over or something. So he smashed the dashboard down into my legs. And so I was stuck. At first, I was in shock. I didn't realize how badly damaged my shoulder was. And so I was thinking, oh, I'll just like climb into the back so I can get out because the door smashed and whatever. But yeah, everybody, like there were a bunch of people around. And so they were like, hey, don't move. I was like, yeah, you're probably right. I might've broken something really bad. And so I didn't, I stayed put. But yeah, when they finally started extricating me, the dashboard was still on my lap and or on my knees and my feet, so I couldn't move. And so they took a big chain and wrapped it around. Let's see if we can see that better. Nope, wrapped it around the steering wheel that's like right here in my lap, and then started pulling on it. And as they were doing that, like my feet are down here, and here's the steering column. And so as they were pulling the steering wheel up, they were pushing the steering column down into my feet. And so yeah, probably shouldn't bother showing you, but like I've got this big scrape along my shin that was not great. So I was like, stop, don't do that. And so they ended up cutting the door open instead. And that, whoa, man, when the door finally cut open, like it started relieving pressure on my knees, and I'm like, yes, keep doing that, do it, keep going. And it finally, the door came off and I was able to move my knees. And then the shoes that I was wearing, I love these shoes so much, and I'm so sad that I don't have them anymore. And when I went to the car the other day, I tried to find them in there, but the car is just so smashed up, we couldn't find them. Maybe somebody took them because they're that good. But these shoes are called Vessies, and mine were the ones that I had, I think, were this. Nope, not this kind. Oh, these are so good. It's worth it. The wait will be worth it. Hold on, I will show you. I mean, all of these are awesome. They're all sweet shoes. But the ones that I had, yeah, the Cityscape, I think. Yeah. And so, oh, these are not it. But those are probably awesome. Yeah, Everyday. That's what I got. So I had the Everyday. I had the black. This is what I was wearing, and they are awesome. Those laces are pretend. They're not useful for anything. You actually slip them on. And so I was able to slip my feet out pretty easily to get my feet out. And so, yeah, once my knees were free, I said, hey, I think I can slip my feet out. And I slipped them right out of my shoes. My shoes are still in the car probably. And I have ordered new ones, but as you can see, COVID has not been kind to these shoes. So I'm getting these white ones, and I'm kind of disappointed because white shoes get dirty. Black shoes do not get dirty, but yeah, white shoes do. I really wanted the blue ones. Like, look at those, but they don't have anything. So super bummed about that. Anyway, so I slipped onto this very hard plastic plank that they had for me, and then they put me on a stretcher and wheeled me over to an ambulance. By this time, I knew that my shoulder hurt a lot. I could still move my fingers and my arm and everything, but it didn't feel great. I had glass in my jacket but I couldn't move, and so the glass was just sitting there, resting on my skin, inside of my jacket. And yeah, let's see what else. My shin was in serious pain from all that pressure on the dashboard. Yeah. Hey, Randall.
Oh man, I am floored. I've been in a few car accidents, but nothing like that. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, you should see the other guy. Also,
I'm just surprised at like how good you look after all that. Like I saw the pictures on Twitter where your teeth were messed up, but like you don't look much worse for wear. And this was just like last week, right?
Yeah, this was a week ago today.
Blast. So glad that like everything's, for the most part, visibly you look okay, right?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. I'm glad to have my teeth back, or at least, something that looks like teeth back, sort of. But yeah, pretty nuts. So anyway, yeah, I feel lucky to be alive. So yeah, let's see what else. So my knees, both around my knees on both my legs, they're pretty bruised. My heel was actually, my right heel was super bruised because that was being forced into the ground of my car for 40 minutes. And so yeah, that does not feel great at all. And then of course my teeth hurt a lot until I got the root canal because my root was exposed. And so like eating and drinking, that was super hard for like 3 days until I finally, like, the swelling went down so they could do something with it. And yeah. So anyway, I got to the hospital. They or I was in the ambulance, and they cut open my Epic React jacket. I was so sad. So I'll tell you a quick story about this jacket. So I love this jacket so much that okay, so originally this Ogio endurance jacket thing, I'd actually gotten one just like this at React Rally years ago for being a speaker, and they had this really cool React logo on the shoulder. I was like, man, this thing's awesome. So I wore it everywhere all the time whenever I needed a jacket. So I was riding on my one wheel with it, and I crashed going 19 miles an hour. That hurt a lot, not nearly as much as this accident, but it hurt. like scraped up my hands and everything. And I just destroyed my jacket. And that was like, yeah, the longest permanent damage that was done. And I was so sad. And so when I was putting together the Epic React store, I was like, oh, sweet. I could get that jacket back. So I asked the conference organizer, I'd already asked them, like, do you have any extras? They said, no. I said, well, where did you get it? Because like, I'm going to make my own swag store and I want to get the same one. So that's what this jacket is. It 100% exists in the store because I wanted to get it. And so I was really sad when he started chopping up like my arm and like chopping through the jacket so he could take it off of me. And when they did, they got up to chopped up right here and they uncovered it and they're like, oh, your collarbone's broken, bro. Like, dang it. And yeah, that's the first time I've ever broken a bone, actually. And so anyway, I should actually be getting a new one today. The logistics company is sending me a new one. So happy about that, at least. So yeah, and while I was in here, this paramedic, this guy, super cool dude, Mike, he actually, no, he didn't do it. Somebody else, I think, I can't remember their name. It's kind of a unique name, but yeah, he stuck an IV in me and they started pumping me full of like warm fluids because it was really cold. I was shivering like crazy. Anyway, but also Mike, I asked him to find my phone. My phone was on like just sitting on a charger, inductive charging. And so I don't know where it went, but he found my phone for me. I of course couldn't call my wife. And so I asked one of these people to call my wife for me. So she knew what was going on. The car actually called 911 along with a bunch of other people who were there. So the paramedics arrived and firefighters, emergency personnel, I guess. They all arrived within like 3 minutes. It was really fast. I wasn't waiting long before they started extricating me. And yeah, but Mike also, I showed him where to get my hard drive for the car. And so the police have that right now. And they said, based on the footage, you were 100% not at fault. You did everything right. There was no way you could have avoided this. And so that's good. But I'm waiting for the footage so that I can figure out how the heck he damaged the back of my car. I don't know how that happened. Because I'm pretty sure he went over the front. So yeah, anyway, I'm looking forward to being able to see that footage. Yeah, so let's see. I was in the ambulance. They figured out I had a broken collarbone. I got down to the hospital where my wife was waiting. The doctors like poked and prodded me. They felt my spine like 12 times. They're like, any pain here, any pain, because they were, of course, worried I broke my neck or severed something on my spine. Luckily, that was not the case. And they took x-rays and everything is fine there. Yeah, finally got into a room where they said, hey, we'll operate on you in the morning. And I said, that sounds great. They gave me Tylenol is actually all they gave me fentanyl in the ambulance on the way there. They're like, you're probably going to want this because the doctors are going to poke you and prod you and you're not going to want to feel that. And so, yeah, so I took some fentanyl on the way there, but all I had was Tylenol that night, which is another miracle. I know a number of people who have gotten addicted to painkillers. And so I was very conscious of wanting to avoid that if I could. So I'm glad that I didn't need anything more strong than Tylenol. And that's all I've been taking. Yeah, operated me the next morning. He had to cut me open. He told me that I had like a 15% chance that I would be fine even if they didn't operate, but like a 5% chance that 15% chance that I would not be fine. So like pretty good chance that everything would work fine if they don't even operate. But an even better chance that things would be good if they did. So I said, let's take the even better chance approach here. So we did. Yeah, I was let go from the hospital that day. That was Saturday, the 29th. And I've been at home and it has been slow, but you'll notice that early on, I was just wearing button-up shirts because I couldn't get my arms into my shirt. But I am now wearing regular shirts. I'm back to my regular garb, which is a win. And I am barely able to get shirts on and off now, which is good. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. That's I figured that would be like a pretty big question for people. A lot of people are saying, hey, can't stop working and start like recovering and stuff. And I just want to say to those people, thank you for caring. But most of those people don't know me. I am incredibly bored if I'm not doing something. And so like, I am super not interested in sitting around doing nothing. I need to do something. And so I am being careful, being self-aware. I may have pushed myself a little bit too much by going to a meetup last night, but for the most part, I am way happier when I'm working. And so I'm trying to do as much work as I can, but I'm not like going too crazy. So anyway, there you go. That's the story of my accident. Happy to answer any other questions about that. Or if somebody has other questions about other things, I've got a couple here in Discord too. So that's it. Any questions from you folks here in Discord or in Zoom?
Did they like give you a physio kind of routine now that you're doing, or is it just like resting at this point for your collarbone?
Yeah, right now it's pretty much just resting. And they said like use pain as your indication for like how much you can do. So if it's painful, don't do it. They did say like don't even try to lift anything with that arm, which yeah, certainly very painful if I try. So
All right,
yeah.
all right.
So I expect that I'll need to do some more like actual physical therapy of some kind at some point. Right now, like my neck is crazy tight. It is like rock solid right here, this muscle. But it's really hard to stretch it without feeling any pain. And so I'm pretty much just kind of waiting for that pain to reduce before I can start doing some exercises and stretches and stuff.
Yeah, I think it's like progressive overloading or progressive enhancement is basically what you want to be doing.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I'll progressively enhance my life as my capabilities improve. Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, I'll just go ahead and jump into some of these Discord questions now. And feel free to, if anybody wants to jump in and ask anything, happy to do that. So Wylan has a bit of a long story, so I will not get bored. This will be fine. You're currently using Create React app, really want to get my team to migrate to Remix. And I thought that the big thing they might like or not like is the Remix form. Since they're used, one other thing I should mention, I did have a concussion. I may still have like a bit of a concussion. So if my brain is operating a little slower than usual, I'm going to blame that. So sorry about that. Okay. Since they're used to the event prevented form with controlled states. So I created this library, sweet, Forma.js React a few days ago, so that I could trick them into using this library currently. And when they migrate to Remix, they'll feel a bit familiar with Remix. That's an interesting idea. I tried to make it as similar as Remix's form component as possible. I would like your opinion about my library API. Cool. Currently, I'm using useEffect to control fetch everything in useFetch. My question is, how should I test effect, whether it's working as it should be? Here's the link. Yeah, hey, this is cool. I think that's an awesome idea. What in the world? Oh, nice. Okay. I'm going to look at the README here. Oh, there's a preview. Nice. Okay. Yeah, sweet. Installation. All right. So yeah, you got the form, method and action, encoding type. Nice. I'm guessing this defaults. That's what the Remix form does, is it defaults. So you want to do that. You also may, in your example, in your demo, maybe instead of having a localhost port 4000, just do like a / and just make it so that your app is being served at the same URL. That'll be more common, like, or I don't know if it's more common, but even if it's not, if you want to keep the full URL, then I would recommend putting that in an environment variable and using that instead. That way you can, like, that's the way that most people are going to end up using it anyway. So having the example resemble actual use is probably a good idea. But yeah, sweet. This is cool. Config provider. You've got, oh, okay. I would not do this. That uh, um, it may feel nice because it saves you from having to include the method all the time and the encoding type and the maybe the action base URL. But it in the long run, it's a problem because people using like in regular parts of your app, people using the component don't immediately know what those values are. And so they have to have some extra knowledge beyond what they're seeing in the code. So I personally wouldn't have a config provider like that, but it is your library. Yeah, cool. Interesting. Yeah, a render prop API for that. So what I would suggest for, because you do need to manage pending state, what I would suggest is what Remix does is we have like this global pending state. So like because forms are a navigation and you can only have one at a time, that means that you only have one transition at a time. And so I would actually recommend going with that approach. But of course, not all mutations are a navigation. And so that's what use fetcher is. So if you wanted to, I mean, like it's your library and you can have it the way that you want it to be. But if you want it to resemble Remix, which is kind of the goal, the stated goal, then I would recommend having a use transition hook that manages the global transitions for forms that are actually navigations. And, you know, potentially you actually don't want to have any forms that are navigations for your library. Like maybe you just say, you know, all of these forms are not navigations, they're just mutations. And if that's the case, then what you really want to simulate is the use fetcher API. And so that you might want to build something like that. The biggest problem that you're going to have though is because you're a library instead of the framework, you cannot invalidate all of the data that's currently on the page. And so like people will have to wire that up for themselves. Like after the form has been submitted, now what happens? So that's like extra work that they're going to have to do. And I probably wouldn't work too hard to solve that problem because really your ultimate goal is just to get people to, you know, move over to Remix where all of those problems are solved. But anyway, that's just something to consider is like, okay, so we've got to talk to people about, hey, like you need to make sure that you update all the data after the mutation and also mention that, well, yeah, I'll also switch to focusing more on simulating use fetcher rather than just form because you can't really hook into navigations because you're not the router. But if you stick with the form, then I would have like a global transition that is like in a context provider so that people can access that transition anywhere and they don't have to do the render prop API. So, but I mean, it's cool. And if you want to stick with this, that's fine too. Like, yeah, what you have built, what you've created is cool. But this does look a lot more like the use fetcher API. And what's cool about that is you can have this same sort of API without having the render prop API because you can get the transition. Oh, whoops, that was a mistake. You can get the transition from use fetcher just like you get the entire form component from use fetcher as well. Okay. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, you got peanut butter props. That's what Ryan calls those. I call them prop collections, but peanut butter props because you spread them. Let's see. Oh, cool. GraphQL even. That's fancy. Yeah, I think it's pretty sweet. I love that people get inspired by Remix to make things even better for themselves. Yeah, you are gonna struggle a bit with keeping data up to date on the page post mutation, but using forms as a declarative mutation is just so nice. So keep up the good work there. As far as the testing, how should I test the effect, whether it's working as it should be? So I would take these examples and render those in a React testing library test. And then you would mock out using MSW the action, and then you just can make sure that that action is being posted to correctly. That's what I would do. Okay, good luck, Lynn. Peter, mixed feelings about Disneyland versus office hours. Yeah, I actually have strong feelings that I really wish I were in Disneyland right now. I'm so sad. My kids were so excited. They were like, some of them had never been on an airplane before, so they were excited about even that. Yeah, super bummed, but we're rescheduling that. We're gonna find another time when my collarbone's not broken. Yeah, okay, experience with LinkedIn quiz. Okay, let me just get up to speed on this. Oh man. Okay, just tried LinkedIn's. Okay, let's take a look at this. LinkedIn skill test. What's true about it being complete BS? This is a representative question, so I made my judgment. What about you? What value a button will allow you to pass the name of a person to be hugged? Class huggable extends React component. Hug, hugging ID, render. What the freak? What is this? Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. For a second, I was like, what the? I mean, of course, it is a class component. It is definitely dated, but hug button. That's just pretty funny. This dot hug name on click name. Nope, that's not going to be it. Event this hug name. Nope, that won't be it. That's not going to be bound properly. Yep, none of those are right. None of those will do it. Let me double check. Yeah. Yeah, actually, no, just kidding. This one will do it. It's not an ID though, it's the name. So I guess, and you don't need to pass the event, but yes, this one will do it. That will work. Yeah, but that, I don't know who wrote that, but they don't know React. Yeah, that is funny. Okay, anyway, Peter's question though, we need to work on a time budget. Most of us are like slow, ugly, broken, choose any two to fix. But sometimes there's no one best answer. We can only think about two equally unsatisfying solutions, and we didn't figure out how to eliminate the higher problem even after we slept on it. Do you have any tips and tricks in your daily routines how to be more happy about good enough solutions? All right, yeah, in the past, when you were unhappy about something you created in an open source library, can you still do that, or do you have to change something about how you work? Okay. Sorry, just gonna, you know that feeling where you're like, my neck needs to, or my like shoulder needs to crack or whatever. Like I need to stretch my back and get a couple cracks out of it. Yeah, I can't do that. And it's the worst. Yeah, I'm feeling that really hard right there right now. Yeah, okay. So how do you be happy about good enough? I think about all the other things I need to do that are more important. And then I'm happy about good enough. They're like, I have, you reference, Peter, some of my open source libraries and stuff. And as a result of creating open source libraries to solve problems, I have a lot of open source libraries. And there are so many things about those, many of those libraries that I'm like, that is not what I'd want it to be. But I have so many things that I need to do. I need to prioritize things. And for lots of those libraries, I'm not even using them anymore. And so to spend any time on it, like while it would be worthwhile for anybody who's using it, it's not worthwhile for me because I wouldn't benefit from that. So that's why it has such a low priority for me. And as sad as I am that it's not as good as it could be, as good as I know it could be, I'm more satisfied because I'm working on higher priority things. So I think that's probably the biggest thing. I don't know about like tips and tricks in my daily routine or anything about being more happy, but it's mostly like another example of something that I do actively use is the bot in Discord. There are a lot of things that I'd really like to improve about this bot, but it just cannot take a higher priority than the other things that I'm working on. And so I wouldn't say that I'm happy about this, and but I am I'm happier leaving it as it is and working on higher priority things than taking the time to work on other priority things. So anyway, that's kind of how I think about it. I focus on the things that will bring me more happiness, and that typically is stuff that is higher priority. I prioritize the things that make me more happy, I guess. Tenavir, is that how you say your name?
You can call me a Taryn. It's Taryn
Taryn.
Beer.
Oh,
I
Taryn
prefer
beer.
Taryn because I'm tearing it up.
All right, yeah, all right. Let's tear it up, Taryn.
Yeah, should I wait for you to finish or can I just jump in?
You can jump in now. Yeah.
Okay. This is more of like a general kind of question, so maybe not the right kind of situation to ask, but I'll ask it. So like you spend a lot of time engaging with the community and kind of giving back and like a lot of time presenting. So how do you like chunk up your day so you actually get to like write code? Because in my day job right now, I'm doing a lot of like meetings and planning and like a little bit of mentoring, and I've found that I haven't written front end code in like 4 days.
Yeah, I feel you, man. I spend a silly amount of time in email coordinating all of those speaking engagements and stuff. So the speaking engagements kind of force me to write code sometimes because I need to create a demo or something. But like there's that year where last year where I spent most of the time rebuilding my website was just so fun because I spent so much time building something real, where a lot of my time was just building demos and workshop exercises and stuff. So what I do now to make sure that I get good, to get good coding in is actually I'm using this app called Centered, and it's awesome. Yeah. So here, I'll share a link to it.
Thanks.
Sorry, I've got to get my arm up. I can type just fine. It's just getting my arm into a typing position is hard. So yeah, Centered is awesome. It helps me make the most of the time, the limited time that I do have. And it also helps me focus on like specific tasks. And it actually recently they started integrating with Linear, which is what we use at Remix. And so I can just like drag tasks over. I've got a task here for handling email. Yesterday I had a task on here for handling Twitter, because those are like part of my job too. And so, I have time set aside for that. But then I've got other tasks that are like, here are my coding things that I'm working on right now. And so that kind of helps. And if I'm like, man, I've just been doing email for too long, then I'll just switch these. I'll say, I'm not saying I'm not going to do it. I'm just saying I'm switching priority so I can be more productive because I'm sick and tired of just doing emails all day. So yeah, that actually helps a great deal. Let's see and I don't know. So yeah, sometimes I find like I've gone a couple days without writing anything real. And that is just sad.
Yeah, that's where I am.
yeah. It kind of comes down to, okay, I've just got to prioritize this now,
Yeah. Okay. No, that makes sense. Thanks for the Centered link. I'll give it a go.
Yeah, I love it. They're awesome. And contrary to popular assumption, I am not paid by Centered. They are sponsoring my conference. So there's that, but there's no weird incentives going on here. I'm 100%. I just like Centered, and that's why I talk about it a lot.
Can I just ask a follow-up too, if you don't mind?
Yeah.
Do you have like a specific time of the day you actually get to do real work, or is it like mornings email and then you know what I mean? Or is it just like,
yeah, I should do better at that, like blocking out time on my calendar. So I don't do that yet, but I may eventually just like have a calendar event that's like coding time. I haven't quite reached that point. Michael Jackson has. He spends so much time doing business stuff for Remix that he now has a calendar event that blocks out his time every morning to do like code reviews and coding and stuff. So eventually I may get to that point where I'm like, I just gotta schedule this. But yeah, right now it's the most urgent things, which are not always necessarily the most important things, right? Like you can be urgent and important, or you can be urgent and totally not important. And right now, I think I spend a fair amount of time doing the urgent and not important stuff. And so, yeah, I may eventually do that. And I can't recommend it from experience, but I can recommend it from other people's experience. It sounds like a good idea to me.
Oh, that's great. Seriously, appreciate it. Because I've been struggling with this for the last little bit. So it's good to know that there's something I can do. Thanks.
Yeah. Good luck, Taryn. Cool. Anybody else in Zoom have a quick question before I go back to Discord? Okay, sweet. So Peter, hopefully I answered your question here. Hey, Tiger, you're awesome. My world would be way different without me too. So thank you. Yeah, thank you, Wylin. Back of the car usually gets damaged because it doesn't know that the front of the car is not moving anymore. Crashes can happen faster than the speed of sound. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing that. My car was not moving very fast. I was at the stop sign. I was accelerating. I was probably going, I don't know, maybe 10 miles an hour or less by the time I got hit. It's so crazy. Like sometimes I'll close my eyes and I'll see the headlights for that split second before they hit. And it was just, whew, yeah, so crazy how fast it came. So yeah, I mean, maybe it was just I don't know. I have no idea how that, I mean, he did flip me. So maybe the back of my car ended up hitting his, I don't know. Yeah, we'll see if I can tell from the video. Okay, so Sumit or Summit, you can correct me since you're here, but I try to say people's names correctly. Yeah, thank you. My question to you is, what are your views on expanding skill set? What I mean is, what do you think about being specialized in a specific skill or having generalized skills? Yeah, okay, I've got experience with this. I don't think there's a right way to do this, but I'll tell you the way I did it. And the way I did it was, I'm going to hyper focus on JavaScript. I'm going to be really, really good at JavaScript. And that's both like Node and tooling, as well as front end React UI stuff. That's and that has proved to work out really, really well for me. So a hyper focus on JavaScript has helped a lot. Of course, there are challenges there where, like, if you want to build something entirely by yourself, then you're fumbling around in the dark and at the mercy of people more knowledgeable than you when you're trying to deploy a database or something, which is what I experienced last year when I was trying to deploy my site. But it like being an expert at something means that when somebody needs an expert at that thing, then they will ask you because you're the expert. If you're a generalist, that is also great because startups will be really interested in you because they're like, everybody at this company is wearing like 6 different hats, and we need people who can wear those 6 different hats. That may, or like, that's just my perception, but the more I think about it, as a startup co-founder, right now we're looking for some people who have very specific abilities too. So that may not entirely hold water, but like there are, I can't speak too much to the benefits of being a generalist, but I know generalists who say that there are benefits. I guess you can do more yourself, but being a specialist for me has been really worthwhile. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. Thanks for answering that. It's been that I just find myself too much leveraging towards front-end engineering. My current role, it sometimes requires me to do the back-end stuff as well, and sometimes database as well. And I find that quite interesting. But yeah, it's just that over the period of time, I'm just I realized that at the end of the day, I just feel more inclined towards front-end engineering, and yeah, that's why I just wanted to ask that.
Yeah, you sound a lot like me. When I was at PayPal, we did front end and back end, and I would just always volunteer myself for the front end tasks or the tooling related tasks too.
Yeah.
Can you correct my pronunciation of your name? Is it Sumit?
Yeah. So MIT is like with the short E sound, so it's Sumit, not Sumit.
Sumit. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. But
thanks for the question. Okay. I think I've got maybe about 10 minutes left in me. So then I'm going to go lie down and watch Harry Potter 5. Yeah, my recovery has been Harry Potter. That's what it's so boring. Oh, okay. Dennis, sorry, what?
Yeah, I was going to ask, like, are you a Harry Potter fan?
Yeah, I like pretty much everybody, but I needed something that wasn't like a big TV series, but was enough movies to like have something to watch next. I feel like all movies that I've watched recently were really stupid. So I wanted something that I knew was like pretty okay. Harry Potter's been okay. I think maybe Lord of the Rings will be my next thing if I.
Yeah, I was gonna say Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
Can't go
yeah.
wrong.
When I was in high school, we graduated. So the day we graduated, we had the party, and then after the party, I think maybe the next day, I hosted a Lord of the Rings marathon where we watched the extended version of all of them, starting at
Oh.
6 p.m. until 6 a.m. because it's each one is 4 hours long. The extended version, you got 3 of those. It's 12 hours, and not everybody stayed the whole time. But I did, and it was awesome. So yeah, maybe I'll do that again. Okay, Dennis, glad you're okay. Me too. Thanks, Dennis. Why did you decide to switch to Docker for builds instead of a build pipeline in KCD? Okay, let's take a look at that. Docker file becomes more complicated. Advantages. Yeah, okay. So Mr. Kurt helped a lot with this. And so what was it? The biggest reason was the speed of the deploy, I think. And also, like, I have a lot more control over things. I think, yeah, I'm pretty sure the biggest reason was speed of deploy. There was a lot of conversation that happened that did not appear in this PR. Let me see if I can remind myself of anything. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was the speed of the deploy. Yeah, because it took a while to deploy back before this change. So like that's the biggest problem with deploying a server versus deploying static files, right? Like Remix builds in half a second or less, like 300 milliseconds. The entire app is built. Like that is so nice compared to my Gatsby thing, which would time out on Netlify until the cache was warm. So like it was a huge quality of life improvement. However, once you warmed up the cache, then deploying on Netlify was like I don't know, like 10 minutes, for build and deploy. The problem is that I had to build and deploy anytime I made any change of any kind, like at all. I had to build and deploy, and it took forever. And so now on my site, if I change content, then it takes 5 seconds to update the content on the site. And I don't need to do a full deploy, which is awesome. But when I do need to do a full deploy, I'm not just building static files anymore. So it doesn't matter that Remix builds in a half a second. I still have to do the whole deploy process, and I'm deploying to 6 regions all over the world. And so it takes some time to do that. And I've got like database migrations to do and stuff like that too. And so that was a bit of a step back on that end of things. You cannot really easily cache those sorts of things. It just takes time to do that. So that's the drawback of having a full server and like a long running process. Now, there are a lot of benefits to having a long running process too, and I use those benefits. But yeah, it is kind of annoying to have such a long thing. And so that was the primary motivation behind the Docker file. I can't remember how long it was before. I think it was like 15 minutes to deploy, and now it's something like 7 or something. So the Docker file helped a bit with that. And also now I have a bit more control. But yeah, you're totally right. The Docker file becomes more complicated. The advantages are the speed and cacheability of that. And the cool thing is, like, what I found is infrastructure related stuff is something that you can set up once and then you don't have to maintain it really. It's just now that's the way it is. And there's not really a lot to maintain, especially when you're using something like Docker. And so, that's kind of, it's kind of like configuring your tools. Once they're configured, then, unless you're upgrading them, you don't really have to touch them anymore. And so I'm a little less concerned about infrastructure related stuff being complicated because I don't have to touch that code very often. And so it's less likely to break on accident. So anyway, that is why. Okay, Johannes, have you heard about Plasmic App? I think I have. You're in for a treat. It lets you create components in a user interface. Yeah, cool. They're synced to your code base. Section component returns a Plasmic section component, which I can change in Plasmic Studio. And as you can see, it has tons of prompts to do. Fill with another component. Okay, sweet. So I guess you're just sharing it with me, not asking a question. Yeah, looks like fun. Ooh, look at that. We've got what is the word I'm looking for? It's like scope slots, the slots from view. What do we call these? Layout, compositional layout components, I guess. So that's cool that it's using props for React elements. That is not a common thing for React developers. They don't typically do this, even though we should. That's why I actually added it to the React patterns workshop that I have, is because like it's a really useful pattern. So that's cool. So because instead of having to pass all of these values that you're passing as props to this Plasmic section, you can just pass the React element and pass those props directly to the components that need it. Makes it a lot easier to maintain. So that's cool. Yeah. I have heard of things like this, and I'm excited that people are working on this.
Can I ask a follow-up on that?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. What's the benefit to doing, I forgot what you just called it, like the slots versus just using like a render prop?
Yeah, so you could do a render prop. The biggest benefit to a render prop is then the Plasmic section could pass our function some state or something. If you don't need any state, then there's no reason to do the render prop. So the difference from a use case perspective is one is for components that are responsible primarily for layout, and the other is responsible for, or the other is for components that are responsible for logic. And so if you and render props are way less useful now because we have hooks. Just like pretty much all the logic stuff now goes into hooks anyway. Yeah, there is like a mix of those two though. So if you've got an example of this is Brian Vaughn has his React window. I think is there's React Virtual, React Virtualize, and React Window. Yep. I'm pretty sure React Virtual is Tanner Lindsley's, and that's the one that I use. But I think React Window is the one that uses a render prop API, and that one makes sense based on his API. So his is both a layout component and a logic component, where it's like, I'm going to lay out the items for you, but you need to know some information to be able to render those. And so hence the render prop. Yeah, I don't see very many use cases for render props anymore. Okay, sweet. So we've got a problem with centered. Sorry about that. Oh, it's a Defender thing. I would say don't run. They're awesome. I don't know. You can make your own decision there. I hope they don't install a virus on your computer. Pretty sure that they're safe. Maybe I'll double check that you got the right thing downloaded, or maybe reach out to them on Twitter. They're pretty responsive. My opinion on Web3 and how it could affect Remix. I don't know, man. Right now, Web3 as a technology has some really gaping holes in its capabilities. And everybody thinks that, like, I wish that they hadn't called it Web3 because with the technical challenges that they have, there's no way that it will be able to do some of the things that we can do right now. So they've got to figure out, so the biggest one is private data. So you can encrypt stuff on the blockchain, sure, but you can't search or index encrypted stuff. And so like anything that you want to, like you want to do a Discord client, then you cannot have the search functionality. That makes Discord way less useful. So like there are really cool things that you can do with the Web3 technology. People tell me that the authentication system is really awesome, that nobody owns your authenticated state, I guess. I don't know. I haven't looked into it enough because I've seen some really significant drawbacks, and that have me concerned, and nobody seems to be talking about those or finding solutions to those, or maybe they are and I'm just not listening. But the other thing is I'm seeing a lot of grifters in that world right now too, which has me concerned. So I am just staying clear of it. So I can't really speak to it with too much knowledge. I can say that the ugly monkeys really bother me. They're super ugly, and it's stupid fad that people are spending silly amounts of money on this stuff. But I mean, if that's what brings you joy, I shouldn't call it stupid. So I apologize. But it just seems like all of the energy that people are pouring into this thing, I wonder what we could accomplish if they poured that into what we have, now. So I don't know. A lot of people said that about the internet when it was first becoming a thing. So who knows? But right now I see a lot of Web3 and NFT stuff as a big scam. And okay, so here's since Web3 and NFT, they're not the same, but like they kind of go together. Everybody's talking about them together. So here's the thing I have about NFTs. Everybody's saying it's about digital ownership. That's great. And I guess they don't care that I can literally download your pixels and like post them anywhere and you can't do anything about it. But they're saying, but no, I own it. And so like, you're feeding my ego, I guess, is really what it's all about. And that's fine. Like so much of ownership in the world is ego, and that's not a good thing, but it is a thing. So, so there you go. But here's the difference. If I own a house and that house brings me utility, and I'm not going to tell you that your picture of an ape doesn't bring you utility. That's fine. If that makes you happy, great. I've got a house. If somebody comes into my house and says, this house is mine now. So like somebody goes to your ape picture and they download it and they put it as their profile picture. This ape is mine now. So now we're both mad at this person, right? I'm like, hey, no, this is my house. And you say, hey, no, that's my ape. And so what is the difference in our recourses there? For me, I can, if they say, no, it's mine now, I can say, well, hey, I am going to go to court and I'm going to make you get off of my property. Like I have a recourse. I have something I can do about that. For you, with your ape picture, you can't do anything about it. There's no authority that will enforce the fact that that is your property. And so literally all that it is just you being able to say, well, I have the digital certificate thing that says it's mine. And that seems so hollow to me. And so that's why I'm super not into the NFT stuff. It just is silly. So yeah, Web3, interesting technology. It's probably capable of things that we are not capable with the current web stack, but I really wish that they hadn't called it Web3 because it gives this impression that this is the next evolution of the web when it will never be able to do many of the things that we need to be able to do with what we have now. And so as far as how it affects Remix, I don't think it affects Remix in any way more than any other technology right now. So there you go. That's my thoughts on that. If I haven't seen it yet, this is from Mark. Only 2 seasons of Raising Diane on Netflix. It's pretty awesome. I'll look into it. Thank you. NFTs are just JSON data. Yeah, they're basically just data. I assume it. Okay. It's like images and stuff hosted on an S3 bucket somewhere. I think somebody released a torrent or something. It just downloads all the NFTs. Yeah. And like everybody who's super into NFTs will say, but that's not the point. Like the point is that you own it. It's like, so what? So actually, here's one thing. An NFT that gives you exclusive access to something, that is special. So like, okay, so now since I own this NFT, I have access to this Discord server, or I have access to this feature in this game. Now you're not talking about an NFT, you're talking about a special golden ticket. It's so like the fact that it's an NFT is irrelevant to what the actual utility it's offering you. So anyway, yeah, in the metaverse, NFTs will shine. Yeah, the metaverse is another thing that like I'm seeing a lot of grifting going on over there too. So I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, you can totally you can duplicate stuff. The thing is that the NFT ownership is recorded in the blockchain and you can't change that. So like it is solid. Like this wallet is the owner of this thing. You can't do anything about that. But my thing is, so what? So anyway, there you go. That is it for me. I've got to go lie down, I think. So thanks everybody for hanging out and chatting. I need this. So thank you.
Rest up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Take care.
Will do.